2024 was a great year for UFC fans that saw some really good title fights, performances, and torches being passed. And with Buckley vs Covington being over and it being the last event of the year, I thought it'd be interesting to predict who would be the champions at the end of 2025. In the year of 2024, we saw 6 title changes across the 11 divisions of the organization. But who will lose their belt and which fighter will end 2025 on top of that mountain? Well, let's predict it.
I'm proud to be a great American champion. I'm proud to be a Christian American champion.
Starting off with the big boys at heavyweight, I think that there's going to be 1 to maybe 2 title fights if we're lucky, and Jon Jones doesn't hold up the division for another couple of months after his victory over Stipe Miocic in November. It should be Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall next, and I think that Tom will more than likely beat the greatest fighter ever. The only man in the top 5 that Aspinall hasn't beaten was Ciryl Gane, who ducked Tom multiple times until he became interim champ.
Correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't love the idea. Is it because you were chasing him and he dismissed you?
He's dismissed me on multiple occasions, and I'm not the first guy that he's dismissed. I'm not the first guy that he's ducked. The reason that I got the Pavlovich fight was because Ciryl didn't want it, so he ducked Pavlovich.
I don't see anyone in the top 15 or the unranked blobs becoming breakout stars that would quickly challenge for the title by the end of 2025 that would even stand a chance against Tom if they made it that far up. He's too quick and too powerful for Jon Jones with a ground game that is developed well enough that I think should keep him in the fight to find the shot that finishes Jon Jones striking. I think that Tom Aspinall will be the first man to finish Jon Jones. I don't see this fight going more than 2 rounds, to be honest. Pereira is the wild card pick of this, but I think that Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall easily finish him. So my pick of the heavyweight champion of 2025 will be Tom Aspinall. Alright, moving down to 205 is a little bit interesting. Will Magomed Ankalaev get his deserved title shot this year? Who knows, man. It just depends if Pereira can beat Ankalaev. I would favor Ankalaev to win that matchup, but Pereira was the main character of the UFC in 2024 and is definitely the most dangerous opponent that Ankalaev has faced up to this point. Maybe not the most capable, but as long as the fight stays standing, Pereira can absolutely win. Other than Ankalaev, I see no other fighter beating Pereira in this division, so here's how I see this year playing out for the light heavyweights. Pereira versus Ankalaev will happen sometime in the first half of the year, and catch this, Ankalaev's gonna win. But they do an immediate rematch in the second half of the year, and Pereira knocks him out. There will definitely be no trilogy match because the UFC doesn't like Ankalaev, especially if Pereira beats him once. They're done. They're not gonna run it back. But if time allows, Alex might face someone like Carlos Ulberg, but he'll beat the striker also. Jamal Hill, he beats again. Yuri, he already beat twice. Who else is there for Pereira, to be honest, you know? So Alex is gonna end the year as champion again, I think. Middleweight, the most racist, misogynistic, and overall toxic division I think there is in the UFC. The GOAT, Dricus du Plessis, has a fight lined up already for February 8th in a rematch against Sean Strickland. DDP is not an exceptionally skilled fighter at first glance, but he makes up for this with his incredible game planning, durability, and the will to keep pushing forward during fatigue. I think that he will beat Sean Strickland more easily this time around, having more championship experience and utilizing his fight IQ. The next logical fight for DDP after the Strickland rematch would be Hamza, likely in Abu Dhabi in October, is what the UFC is going to hold him out for. DDP versus Hamza is a fantastic matchup. The overwhelming grappling kept Kamaru Usman on the ground for about a round and a half and completely broke Whitaker's front row of teeth just from a choke attempt. Whitaker, Derek Brunson, and somehow Darren Till took DDP down once each. I just think that window of opportunity, the 7 to 8 minutes where Hamza is so dominant and he's fresh, is enough to find a way to win against DDP before he gasses out. I think that Hamza, in those first few explosions, might actually hit harder than DDP as well. DDP makes some questionable grappling decisions in the past, but he does improve. Like I say, from every fight, he just gets better and better. I think that Hamza will close out the year fighting once for the title and winning. Even if Strickland wins against DDP, this is a much easier matchup than DDP would be for Chimaev. I think that after years of hyping him up, seeing him retire, have wars, awesome performances, Hamza will finally fulfill his destiny of becoming a UFC champion in 2025. Welterweight should have a fun year ahead of them. The previous generation is beginning to be fleshed out with Joaquin Buckley's impressive win over Colby Covington, and who would have thought that Buckley would be in a position where he is, where he's so close to fighting for the title when he was up fighting at middleweight, getting knocked out by Kevin Holland. Carlos Prates had 4 knockout victories in the last year and could be fighting for a title by the end of 2025 if things go perfect for him. Ian Gary proved he's world title level despite losing to Shavkat, who was supposed to fight for the title in December. So let's start there. Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Who would win? While they don't have a fight lined up and is still being rescheduled for, an early prediction would be for Belal. Shavkat lost some of that aura having a competitive fight with Ian Gary. The striking and grappling were slightly in favor of Shavkat, but Machado took Shavkat down, and everyone will remember that close scare in the 5th round with Ian Gary on the back. Simply put, Belal is leagues ahead in the grappling over Ian Gary. However, it was reported that Shavkat tore his MCL and could have been the reason for this close fight, but that's twice now that he's been injured mid-fight, and who knows if it might happen to Belal, and Belal could probably win against an injured Shavkat. After Belal versus Shavkat, I'm not sure who would challenge for the belt next. Everyone in the top 7 is 1 or 2 fights away from fighting for the title, but Belal already beat 2 of them, and out of these 7 fighters, I honestly think that the bottom 2 have the best chance to win, unless a prime 2021 Usman shows up after not fighting for 14 months and on a 3-fight losing streak. Leon Edwards was light work for Belal. I think that Belal should beat Shavkat. Who knows about Usman or if he's going to fight Jack Della Maddalena. JDM's ground game is too low level for Belal, but Buckley and Gary are good matchups, I think. Buckley is a powerhouse and showed some really impressive grappling over Covington, a guy that's known for wrestling. Gary is a long striker that could be difficult for a much slower Belal to shoot on. As much as I don't want to say it, I think that Belal Muhammad will end the year of 2025 as UFC champion. The odds for this actually have Shavkat Rakhmonov ending the year as champion at -150 and Belal being next at +200. I didn't talk about the odds for the previous division, so I'll just throw them up on screen right now. Hamzat's the favorite, Pereira's the favorite, and Tom Aspinall's the favorite. No man is going to be able to take that belt away from Islam. Saryukian poses a challenge because their first fight was competitive in the grappling, but within that time, I think that Islam has evolved and surpassed Arman. The striking is cleaner, more effective, and dangerous from Islam. Everyone usually gives Islam some problems, but he always finds a way because he has more tools in his toolbox to get the job done. I mean, look at the Poirier fight. That ankle pick in the 5th round of a dog fight was fantastic. I bet it wasn't even something that they drilled heavily for Poirier, it just happened. Poirier has been saying that his next fight will be his last, and I could see the same thing for 4 fighters of the top 9 who are climbing in age and mileage. So after the Arman fight in January, who could defeat Islam? Oliveira could, but I give him like a 35% chance. I could actually see Holloway having some success against Islam if he can get the fight to the later rounds, but probably not enough to win. I think that the fighter that has the best chance to win lightweight gold has not fought at lightweight since March 19th of 2022. That man being Ilia Topuria. Topuria was mainly a grappler before making his way to the UFC, where he steamrolled through every opponent in the striking. It would be like fighting a full training camp Volk, but this time if he touches you, you're done for. And I could see Topuria actually beating Islam. Too bad, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think that the UFC is going to make Topuria get a few more title defenses, even though he says he wants to move up and just vacate the featherweight title. So my prediction is that Islam will remain champion by the end of 2025. Speaking of Topuria, he said he's going to vacate and move up divisions, but I think he's lying and will rack up a couple more title defenses before fighting at lightweight. And in all honesty, why not? Everyone there's basically easy money for him. No way Volk's chin is the same again. Holloway said featherweight is not the move for him now, so he's going to move up to lightweight. Lopez is too wild to work against Ilia. For Mosvar, tell me, viewer, how he would win. Like, he has no paths to victory. Yair could land a 1080 spinning flying knee, but the odds of that are pretty low. Volk pieced up Yair, and Ilia is a more effective mixed martial artist in both striking and grappling, so this one was easy. Ilia Topuria will not be losing either. I don't see anyone for the next few years beating Topuria in the featherweight division. The only way I see him losing his belt is by moving up and vacating, so he's going to end 2025 as champ. The Bantamweight title is also on the line in January between Merab Dvalishvili and Umar Nurmagomedov. My early pick for this fight would be Umar. Merab is a grindy type of wrestler that will shoot on you constantly, making you work until you're gassed, but the thing is, Umar has been wrestling in Dagestan since he could walk and will possess the ability to stop the shots from Merab and potentially even find his way to his back. Umar has the cleaner stand-up, and most of Merab's striking offense is set up off the takedown threat because he's always on you, just shooting for your legs. Something that Umar shouldn't have to worry about too much should he even be put on the fence or taken down. He should be able to pop right back up. So I believe that he's going to beat Merab in January, and after this, there are 2 potential matchups for him. Sean O'Malley, who doesn't deserve the title shot, or Piotr Jan. Umar would probably be too much for both of these strikers based off of both of their fights against Merab. Jan got dominated by Merab, and O'Malley had like 10 seconds of success against Merab. Someone as young as Song Yadong, who's still learning and improving, could get a few wins and challenge, but I think that Umar will hold the belt for the rest of the year if he gets through Merab. So I could see even Merab actually holding the belt by the end of the year, but Umar is my number 1 pick with Merab being a close second. Alright, we made it all the way down to flyweight. Alexandre Pantoja has got a grip on that belt. He has beaten 7 of the top 10, some of them twice or even 3 times. Realistically, the only way the top 15 beats him is if his chin withers down to a point where he can't take shots. Because basically all of his fights are dog fights, where he just walks down his opponents, tanking their best shots and submitting them. Manal Kape just put on a pretty good performance, but I don't think he's going to be enough to stop Pantoja. The only man I could see beating Pantoja is someone that already beat him a few years ago, Davis and Figueiredo. Figgy left the division after the quadrilogy with Moreno was concluded because the weight cut was too difficult to continue. I think it's reported that he weighs like 155 pounds in shape, which is a 30-pound weight cut. And now that he's climbed further in age, I would think it would be harder to do this weight cut going back down to 125 after getting his body prepared to fight at 135 for 3 fights. If he can do it, then it would probably be the best chance to dethrone Pantoja because of the ungodly power that he possesses at 125 with his preposterous size and frame. And I don't see Figgy being the one to do that now against a primed Pantoja who's coming into his own as a champion. It would be a banger of a fight for 5 rounds. Figgy was the only man to seriously hurt Pantoja, but Pantoja just kept coming forward. This man has a crazy chin, and I think that Pantoja is going to retain for another year. Women's Bantamweight should be ruled by Kayla Harrison very soon. She should dominate Pennington and hold on to that division until Amanda Nunes wants to come back. That is the only woman I see beating Kayla for right now. There's only been 2 champions of the strawweight division, so this one could be tricky. Shevchenko is my pick to end the year as champ, but she's climbing in age and will be turning 37 in March. I just think that Shevchenko is going to continue to dominate unless her age begins to show. In a strawweight, like, no one's got a chance against Weili. She's been on a tear as of late, and the only woman to beat her isn't even competing in this division anymore. It's such a shame that Rose Namajunas decided to move up divisions where she was so good at strawweight.
And Weili has landed several of those inside low kicks.
Tatiana Suarez is the next fight lined up, but I think that Weili does everything to a similar level, if not better than Suarez. Everyone else in the top 5 is lightweight for Weili, I think. So, these are my picks for who I think ends 2025 as UFC champions. Let me know what you think of my picks. Tell me who I should have picked and who I might be underestimating in their ability to capture gold. The sport is in a pretty decent place right now, other than John Jones versus Tom Aspinall not having a fight lined up right now, and the Apex. But heading into 2025, there are a lot of exciting fighters climbing the ranks and good matchups to be made. So, that's it. See you next year. And don't forget to elbow that subscribe button. You know what it is. Peace out.